Well, thank all of you for being here. Hey, how you doing? My Arizona guy. Sister Hurley and I have designed, redesigned, taught, blood, sweat, and tears over this course, and we are kind of joined at the hip with this. So hopefully we're somewhat uniquely qualified to give this presentation. So we wanted to start off with just a minute. Sister Hurley is on campus, but now teaches full-time online, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So we wanted to have a perspective of things from the course lead. So before we jump into the slides, Casey's going to take a few minutes and talk about that.
So I think sometimes online you don't know, like, what does the course lead do? What's their job? And I think one of the communication issues I've had sometimes with the campus, or I'll get them all mixed up, with the online course lead is just understanding, like, what's my job and what am I doing and what am I supposed to be doing? So let me just give a little bit of background perspective. So when we built the 370 class years and years ago, I got asked a semester before that. I didn't teach this course on campus, but I got asked, can you teach it one semester so you can design it online? I was like, okay, I can. So I taught it on campus, got it kind of the way I thought I wanted it, and then designed it online. And during my design semester, I get 3 credits off, right? So normally I teach 12 credits. I'm down to 9, I get 3 credits off. I design. The next semester is the pilot that some of you've experienced, right? So every week I'm meeting with Jeff, meeting with the designer. That's when I have no time for that, right? So I'm teaching a full 12 credits. I'm on 2 committees. Like, I'm doing a lot of stuff, right? And this is like extra, right? But I do it because it's super important and I want to do it, right? And I care about it. And then the next semester, I'm not even teaching the course. Now, this isn't always the case, right? But this is just an example of one campus course leads experience, right? I don't even teach the course in the classroom anymore. I'm teaching 12 other credits, right? So think about what's on my mind. Not Jeff's class, right? As much as I love Jeff,
I think that's personal.
Class. I care about the class. I want students to succeed, but there is no stick in my eye, right? If the students get to week 2 and it's broken, I have no idea. And I don't even remember what's in week 2. Let's be honest, right? I'm doing other stuff. So I rely so much on Jeff to let me know, hey, week 2's broken. Oh yeah, what's week 2? Help me, right? So I think you kind of have to know a little bit where the campus lead is coming from, that they might not be that plugged in. And it's not necessarily because they don't care or they don't want to be plugged in, it's because they've got a lot of other sticks that are in their eye, right? They've got a campus course where the students, they're getting the emails, right? Like, your campus course is broken, and that's what they're focused on. So I think it's important just to kind of realize that they really do need you a lot of times to reach out to them, remind them, like, help, I'm here.
And to add 1,000 miles and completely different schedules onto that from our working relationship.
Yes.
So most course leads and online course leads don't live in the same place. Some do, but most don't. So you add all the distance and craziness of normal life to that as well. But what we wanted to do today was to give you what we think are some thoughts that are around this subject, and a couple of things. We want this very interactive. This is not a us talk questions later. It's each time we have a bullet, we want your input. So we may cut off some discussions if they get too long in our grand total of 45 minutes. So we're going to kind of have a rapid fire discussion with you involved from the very beginning. So we're going to have an exchange of ideas, and then again, your input's required, and obviously we hopefully have some good discussion here. So what we'll do today is Casey and I are going to present our thoughts, and again, you give your thoughts, recommendations, disagreements, or ideas. So basically, you're all educators. Educate us, educate the room, and do the other things that go with that. I didn't know if we were recording this or not. I don't see a, oh, you are? Okay, small camera, all right. Or take notes and we'll hopefully learn some things together. How does that sound? So we're going to talk about bridges. And my favorite picture was this one. I think this is the bridge that we're sometimes walking on, especially if you take Casey's example, it's not this, as much as we'd like it to be, and it may be this sometimes. So the visuals are important. We don't have a lot, but that's the one that said, hey, this trying to make this relationship work over miles and time frames and everything else is difficult. We've been able to make that work. Casey and I have worked together for 6 years.
6 or 7 years.
Yeah, and did we do another class too?
Yes.
Did we do the QAM 450 class?
Oh.
No.
Okay, anyway, we've worked together for quite a while. So we've worked on building that bridge. And so what we want to talk about is building relationships. So I'm going to take one, Casey's going to take one, and we'll talk it through and then have some conversation on each one of these. So one thing we wanted to do based on being here, if you're here, your course lead is most likely on campus. Find a way during these days to go find him or her. If it isn't planned, make it happen anyway, unless I've got a disagreement in the audience. Find a way at least to go shake hands and put a face with a name, something. If they're on campus, track them down. If you know them already, take a minute and go say hi. Anything you would add to that, Casey?
I would just say, if you can, take a look at their schedule and see if they're teaching your course in the classroom.
That's even better.
See if you can go sit in on it. That would be a great thing to do. Hopefully I won't get in trouble for saying like, skip like one day.
So Thursday, 2 to 5 is kind of a time when you could do that. There's
Perfect.
department meetings at 2, from 2 to 3, and there's no classes usually from 2 to 3, but 3 on, there's a good chance, and I know some departments are doing exactly that, taking their instructors, hey, come sit in
And
on my
take the
class.
incentive to go meet them. Like if they don't just show up at the meeting, like track them down, go find them.
Yeah, the department meetings are very helpful. During this conference, if you've not been to those before, they're very worthwhile, and make sure if those are scheduled to be there if you can. Thanks, Joel, for adding that. All right. All right, the other one is, and that would be asking for an introduction. If you don't know that person, there's a very good chance that someone you know does. Any suggestions, or have you done that before from any of you?
How many have met your campus lead face to face? Good.
Okay. Good. All right, so about 30%, there's an opportunity there. So, what's that?
Somebody's going to.
Okay, well, hopefully after today, everyone will. All right, so any suggestions there on how you'd make that happen? Again, this is interactive. We're not here to just ramble through the slides.
I don't have a suggestion, I just have a question.
Okay.
Like, I don't even know who would know my course lead on campus.
Okay,
There's very few people I know on campus, but I like that idea.
okay.
I thought I should raise my hand here. I don't know if it's going to be a target or a help, but
Both.
I am kind of a bridge in a lot of ways from campus to online.
Tell us who you are.
Steve Willis.
All right.
Oh.
Hello.
There we go. Okay.
Hi, Steve.
Hello. So if you need help or would like to chat, I think I could probably help with that.
Okay. Perfect. We've already achieved our goal.
Your course lead is
At least for the two of you.
I love an introduction.
Okay.
All right. Again, part of this is, as a online course lead, is there's got to be some assertiveness there. Sometimes these relationships happen naturally and they click. Sometimes they don't. And going out of your way and being a bit of a, hi, I'm here and I just want to say hello and try to do something like that would be helpful. Other suggestions here? Okay. Oh, sorry. Please.
I was just going to ask, and I'm asking this innocently, seriously, why wouldn't there be more proactivity on the behalf of the online course lead if they know that this is literally the only time during the entire year there couldn't be a little bit more meeting?
Okay, here's one reason. So I just got the email from my department saying the online faculty are going to be on campus at 2 o'clock tomorrow.
So proactivity with the communication
Yeah.
and planning.
Let them know you're
And
here.
because as this whole thing grows, it seems like collaboration is going to become the only way it's going to work, really.
So it's not that they don't want to meet you, they might
Right.
not even know.
Exactly. So
Aren't they gonna do that tomorrow?
Yeah,
They
they should.
did that last year.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Joel's nodding his head yes. There are meetings by department planned. I don't want to speak out of turn, but Joel, do you want to fill in on that?
Well, the invitation was given.
Okay.
So We didn't require anyone to meet, can't require anyone
Okay.
to meet, but we let them know. But it sounds like Casey that, yeah, you just heard yesterday. So yeah, I mean, it's
Making lots of pieces come together takes a lot of energy. Sometimes that happens naturally, sometimes it takes a little bit of pushing. So a good thought, please.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say in my particular, I was here last year, and it was very helpful, the department that I am associated with, I guess. They invited us, all of online adjuncts that were here, and we spent a lot of time with them. It was great. It was very helpful to meet them and also get a little more sense of the vision of the different courses and also the departments.
Absolutely. I saw another hand. Please.
I was just, does the university have a person that plans these conferences, or are they planned by the individual departments or individual groups?
So the meeting tomorrow afternoon at 2 is the individual department. So if you're in the religion department, it depends on whether the religion department has set that up.
Okay, but where I'm going with this is that, for example, when you have a large national technical conference, they have professional conference organizers. And typically you get a conference agenda months before the conference happens. And I find this a little bit ad hoc, and I'm just wondering if it would be worthwhile getting a professional to help out with some of the planning so that it wasn't quite so much ad hoc.
Okay, and that's a good suggestion. Appreciate that.
noted. We
Yeah.
have, at this conference, we have unprofessional.
No, I think you'll find that the conference is very well planned. The part of it is, but when you say to a department that maybe has also had stuff on their agenda for that day for months and months in advance, right? It's just sort of a matter of
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. And again, the organizations coordinate as best they can to do that. Again, noted, Joel, thanks.
Sorry, one more thing.
Yes.
So more than likely, if you haven't heard, maybe not much is planned, so maybe.
I would not say,
No,
I'd
no,
say.
no.
Depends on
No,
those
no.
We
individual
don't, we've got a
departments.
list.
Okay.
I think we understand that there are only 90 people that have registered for the conference that don't have a home tomorrow. I don't have a place to go.
Yeah, I think
All
you
the
can
other
safely
departments
assume
have
that you
got
probably
something.
do have a
have,
part of
yeah.
that meeting at 2 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay.
And I would say, I just got an email yesterday, like last night, about when and where to be.
Okay, because
So
Okay.
it could
Yeah.
still be like.
And I bet if you're in my department, no one's gonna tell you where to be. We just think that you know.
Right.
That's why I'm like.
You will know tomorrow.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
And again, just be patient and ask, okay? All right. We're going to talk about this, but one of the things that goes along with obviously building a relationship is building trust. Now, that can take 45 minutes in and of itself, so we're going to circle back to that when we get to the end here. When you talk about building relationships, one of the things that really has to happen is you show up. And I mean that in the literal sense of the word. So schedule things, be there. In case he knows that I've not been perfect with this, but she's been very patient with me. It's the simple concept. If you can't build a relationship if you don't have some kind of presence. Now that certainly goes for both sides of that relationship, but on the online course lead, just a presence, either online, on phone, on text, whatever it is, just to have some sort of presence when you relate to people. Any suggestions or additions to that,
I
please?
just have a question. I guess I don't know how much to reach out to my course lead. You mentioned how much you have going on. How much is too much, or is there a balance, I guess?
Yeah, I think it depends a lot, right, on the course and the course lead and how much do they have going on. But, try to feel that out. But whenever you have something that you need help with, reach out.
And I would add, if you're not getting responses, keep reaching out.
Yeah,
Okay, that's what I.
It's not I didn't hear from them, I stopped.
right.
Because sometimes they'll put their attention where they see the most requests for attention.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's their job. I have a colleague that I work with, and he's like a personal friend, and we have a really strong relationship. I have not gotten him to respond to my emails for a week and a half. And finally I was like, hello, are you, I got a response to something else. What about all this other stuff? And he's like, oh my gosh. He's been traveling for weeks, and he's got to give the devotional in like a week. And he's like, I can't do anything, right? And so he hasn't paid attention to email, and guess what? All the emails that he's missed in the last 2 weeks, he might never get back to, right?
Right.
So I'll just keep bugging him next week. So you just have to, I think, realize that, and it's their job, right? So even if they're kind of unresponsive, at the end of the day, they are responsible for the course, and so they need to respond to you. So don't feel too much like you're being a pest. If you're emailing every day like, oh, there's this apostrophe missing in my course, right? They'll start to feel like, can't talk to you, right? But if you have things that you really need to discuss about the course, call them, email them, try to figure out what do they best respond to.
And you can see why we're presenting this together. All right, there's things that Casey adds that I could never add because I'm not in that role. So.
And Jeff, I love that Jeff will email me, Jeff will call me, Jeff kind of lets me know, like, hey, I have some stuff that's really for next semester that I want to discuss. Let's kind of set up a meeting. And I know that that's something that, okay, let's set up a meeting. We have some time to get to that, right? But if there's like an emergency, I know partly because we have been working together, right? That I can trust that if just like, this needs to happen like right this second.
And I'll send her a text, we need to talk today.
Yeah.
You know, and she'll respond.
I know it's important, right? But part of that is that we've built that. And one thing I would say is get on video if you can.
Well, we're gonna get to that. This is where we're talking about. We have a responsibility to build that relationship. Now, it is really tough. You know, just think of when you are or were dating. If one person's interested and the other person isn't, it's tough to build that relationship. In some ways, that's a little bit what you're doing is especially if it's a new relationship, you're trying to establish this. So both people, as Casey just reiterated, have a responsibility to build this relationship. It's designed that way. It's built that way. The university has it set up, and I think brilliantly, because I think it works the way it's set up. You just have to do your part and maybe a little more than your part. Comments on this from anyone? Please, Ellen.
Out of sight, out of mind is a very real problem.
Okay.
And you have to like work twice as hard if you're not rubbing shoulders with them in the hall. Because if you don't do anything, then that is zero.
Right.
Doesn't exist.
Right. And that comes back to the comment of, yeah, sometimes you're going to have to do a lot more. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that was it.
Okay.
And I always assume and hope that if I'm hearing nothing, everything's fine.
Well, and again, you go back to the schedule you have. There's so many things on a person's plate that's a fair assumption in your role. Okay. And then when that relationship is there, at least for the two of us, she knows that if something comes up, she's going to hear from you. So, all right. When you talk about this, I think another key on building that relationship is to be specific about problems and concerns. Say this is broken, this link is not right, this is happening, whatever the case might be, and then what you're going to do about that, and then obviously seek what they're going to do. Thoughts on this one? Please.
Actually, I think that's where there is a bit of a disconnect between me and my course lead because I'm the only one teaching the course online. I'm having to fix a lot, and we're not following through on the other end and if it's being fixed for the future. And so I'm kind of glad you said that because sometimes I know I have to get it, but is it being done so I don't have to do it again next semester?
And that's a perfect question. Jess?
And I'm going to try to talk to him more about it tomorrow, but my course lead, if I tell him, you know, we should probably look at this or do something, and he's on board. He's like, great, get it done, but I can't get it done.
Okay. Well, and that's so, this part, what is the part you can do? And then obviously there's a flip side to that.
Right.
What is it you need him or her to do?
And it may be, if there's some like improvements that need to be done in your course, right? That's where you can talk to your campus lead, and that's when your campus lead talks to Steve and says, we need a contract. So maybe you could get under contract to actually do some of that work so that you can have time and you can get paid to do it, to actually make that happen, right? But you kind of got to have that conversation like this. So if you say to him like, this needs to happen, he's like, great, I trust you, go for it. You're like, no, like, this is 20-hour project, right? And I'm getting paid already less than I should, right? So make sure you're make sure they know, like, no, we need to do a little bit more with this, and we have a system built in to make that happen.
We have a team of designers that are always planning projects, and we're kind of setting, semester or even 2 semesters out to plan these improvements that you need. There's also kind of a fund or a pool of resources and hours that if there's emergencies that come up or things that can be done fairly quickly but still require some design expertise, we can usually get those done pretty quickly too. So if you're not sure where to start, then reach out to me, have the course lead reach out to me, and we can get you on the books and get your project started. It doesn't need to be you with a development contract. It typically isn't, actually.
Okay.
That's kind of a secondary option if we can't get it done quickly on our own.
Jess, does that help a little bit?
Yeah, that helps. Yeah.
Other comments on this concept, please?
I'm teaching in 3.0 and my course lead is on campus only and doesn't understand 3.0 and he'll never teach in 3.0. And so there are things that cannot be
They'll
done.
never teach in 3.0?
He's not going to teach in 3.0 is what I hear. He's only taught in 2.0. So
Okay.
he doesn't understand the language.
He'll have to switch in the fall.
He doesn't understand. Maybe he will, but for now.
Collecting papers.
For now, he doesn't understand what I'm saying, and so I will be speaking with course improvement, and they're saying we can't do that in 3.0 the way it was done in 2.0, and the course lead doesn't understand, and the responses don't make sense. So it's like an impasse.
Sure.
The course improvement says you have to go through course counsel, which means the course lead doesn't understand the way they're saying it and responds the way
Right.
it used to be. Course
Well, one of the things that we don't have a slide for up here, this comes back to the, did we get the 3-month agenda in advance? Our university, and Alan and Joel are much more qualified to speak to this than I am. It's the equivalent of changing the tire while the car is going. I mean, the type of speed and dynamics and change and things that we go through are part of that. I've done this since 2009, and I haven't seen it change a whole lot since then. It's good intent, lots of good things, but so many moving parts. And that's why I have this slide. There may be some things you just have to do or live without, or try to bring in. We're trying to make that bridge, of course. And that's not an excuse or an apology. It's just how sometimes the craziness goes. Am I out of line by saying that from either of you, from your perspectives? Either I am or I'm not, one of the two.
So when the university motto is rethinking education, it
Right.
means there's always lots of moving parts.
Right. And it's not that your feedback isn't extremely important, because it is, but I don't know how to fix all of that except to try to take these principles as best we can and work it from there. So
if I were in your shoes, I think what I would do is I would try to meet video or phone with that lead. Maybe doesn't do video, low tech. Go find him while you're on campus, right? Sit down in his office and say, look, here's the problem. There's all this stuff we can't do in 3.0. Here's what needs to happen. I need you to approve it. I know you haven't done 3.0, but just help me. Here's what I think we need to do. Please approve it so I can get them to do it. I think that would be my approach. Is like,
okay.
You don't have to understand it. Just trust me a little bit. Let's make it happen.
Okay, please.
And hopefully he'll understand 3.0.
Just like a longer range perspective. So I've been teaching since 2010, and the growth is unbelievable. And as this continues, can we look forward to any kind of training on campus for course leads as this gets bigger, and perhaps the relevancy and the impact that it's having on an entire world full of students outside of this campus? Is there any way that that's going to start to be addressed, and some of the paradigm can shift a little bit,
okay,
the way this is being
Can I
regarded?
answer that question?
Okay, please.
It's
Absolutely.
scheduled for September 7th. All course leads for people are going to be meeting together. They don't know that yet.
So don't say anything.
Okay. We were just talking about this last week. So
Okay.
training's been in process. We've gotten things together, but that's one that will kind of kick
Perfect.
off.
Okay, thanks.
And I think campus instructors see the vision. Like, I don't think there's a lack of realizing, like, this is huge, this is important. We have all these online students that we need to serve, right? typically it's not lack of seeing the vision, it's lack of having the time, the knowledge, the.
That's true. I believe that. I do, but when we're literally right here with
Sure.
the kids,
Oh, yeah.
kids one-on-one, and we watch it semester after semester, it's like,
It's challenging.
you know, yeah.
Please, then we're gonna move on.
Just a quick comment on the other side. I know, I understand your frustrations. I've been there a little bit. But I have a wonderful course lead, and he and I communicate all the time because of the course, and he and I have already talked, and we're gonna meet. And I mean, that's a great relationship. Maybe I'm spoiled or whatever, but there are a lot of good course leads out there. I'm sure I have one.
Okay, all right.
And I want to say, just because I'm talking doesn't mean I have a horrible.
Right. No, well, again, this is a no-fault discussion.
Right.
We're not trying to point blame or assign issues or anything else. Please, then I'm gonna
The
go
only
on.
other thing I'm gonna say is more of something that could help in this is we talked about what are we gonna do, what are they gonna do? One thing that we tried to get going, but we probably need to readdress it, is we looked at a to-do list that we can both look at and
Perfect.
check things off.
I'm gonna get to that.
So,
Okay,
different
you're a
sources.
couple steps ahead of me,
Okay.
but we're there. All right. The one that goes along with what we just talked about is don't use distance as an excuse. Us as online folks, distance doesn't matter anymore. If we can't be okay with that, then there's going to be a problem. The folks on campus have a different kind of distance because they're physically in one place, but we have to be comfortable with all the tools and all the techniques that shorten that distance. That's pretty much on us. It would be my humble opinion. So just don't use the bad internet connection excuse that's not going to happen, or I can't get them on the phone or whatever, that type of thing. All right, this one I think is a little bit different, and I didn't expect to do this, but as I was doing research, it came up time and time again. Get personal with these people. I know Casey has 2 kids. I know she lives in Rigby. She's a lawyer. Your husband's a lawyer? No, wait. Okay, well, that's so much for that point. Okay, I was on roll for a while. Okay, my point is we know each other fairly well. It's okay, because when you have a personal relationship, what kind of investment is there? It's not just somebody ignoring this name. They're ignoring you and all the things you stand for. Spend 5 or 10 minutes when you get them, if you can't, just say, hey, I want to get to know you a little bit. And you'll find that will then happen naturally. You may be the person that starts that, but just spend a few minutes. Maybe email a few pictures, tell some stories, share something, just be personal. It doesn't hurt, and it's only going to help. That also makes this internet world we live in, where things are all virtual, so much more personal and so much more enjoyable. Casey's having me over for dinner tonight. No, I'm kidding. She doesn't know that. But.
I was thinking about it.
Okay.
Jeff just moved here, and my thought was, we need to have him and his wife over for dinner.
That'd be awesome.
But Jeff has been on my prayer list more than once. And that's because of it. And it's really due to Jeff, because he is really good at this, at always getting on the phone with whoever it is or on the hangout and spending a minute to just say, how are you? How are your kids? Let's, check in personally, and to build a relationship, not just, one thing I've seen, even in my experience on campus, and Jeff and I teach HR, so this is like a big thing, right?
Yeah, of course.
But the mistake sometimes that leaders make in a team, right? So I was on a team that was super dysfunctional, and the first thing the team lead said was, I wish we had time to get to know each other a lot, but we don't. We gotta get to work.
Stop.
And from there,
Yeah.
And so this really matters. That 5 minutes of just kind of getting to know each other, it will save you time later because you have that relationship.
Well,
The fact that Jeff has my cell phone number, right? That makes a huge difference.
Yep. All right. Thoughts?
Yeah,
Please.
if the only time that you ever talk to your course lead is when you have a problem, they're going to associate you with only problems.
Yeah.
So if you also can bring them good things that happen in your classes,
Very good.
or something
Excellent.
that's been really good, then that can make them, hey, I did a good job on this week. So, even if your class is a disaster, pick out a few good things that are happening so that
Absolutely.
they know that there is some good.
I love getting a little email like, oh my gosh, look at this cool thing that this student submitted, and that's a great way to share.
Okay. Excellent. Thanks.
One other question.
Oh, please.
comment. Do you ever collaborate and share like, hey, I gave this piece of feedback and found it was really helpful?
Absolutely.
Does that go both ways with each other?
You sent me an email yesterday or 2 days, sometime in this week, about something that was interesting that would be good to pass on to the class that wasn't anything to do with what we're working on today. Yeah, it was an article, and I get those all the time from Casey. She probably does a better job of that than I do. But yes, absolutely. Any of that kind of collaboration is good, especially if it either adds to the course or adds to the knowledge bank of the course, whether it's religion or whatever the case might be.
Yeah, and a great way to connect and to share is just in your relevant expertise, right? This is especially true, I think, for faculty for smaller courses.
Right.
Some faculty on campus, they're the only ones who even teach it, and you're like oh cool, we can talk about this together.
Well, in some ways, it's a connection to the outside world for them because people tend to get isolated in their own little world. So sharing with each other helps that, whatever that might be.
Yeah, what's going on in industry, that kind of stuff is super helpful to campus faculty.
Okay. All right. Again, small talk. Again, just like we talked about, certainly a reason to do that and go from there. Find out what your course lead likes and dislikes. That might take a little doing. And that may border on stalking, so if it does, then all right. But maybe there's something that we can do there. Again, we're people. We're people. We're maybe 1,000 miles away, but we're still people working toward the same goal, which is this blessed place we get to work with and serve to be able to do things for our students. All right. To your comment, I would say you reach out frequently, even if there's no response. You don't stop. Again, skip the apostrophe emails and those kind of things. But if there's no response, just keep reaching out. And I think most have access if you can. I think does our electronic access still have phone numbers for faculty?
Mm-hmm.
I think it does.
Yeah,
That we have actually online have access to as well. So you should at least have a phone number and an email. Okay, and
They don't have little bios, do they? Or is there a bio?
They might on the department website.
Okay, I don't know the answer to that, but again, the frequency is the key, even if there's no response.
And if you're getting no responsiveness at like a problematic level, that's when you need to talk to who is that person, the OCR person.
Right.
Our course lead, they're redeveloping our course while we're trying to roll it out to Island 3. So like I know where his head is, but I don't. Anyway.
No, good thoughts.
He's a good guy. I don't remember that.
But just keep bugging him if you
Okay.
On the building relationships front, also, irrespective of that relationship, is build your relationship with people on campus. Get to know people. For those of you that may or may not have the opportunity, you may be an online course lead, become a TGL. Get to know, and the folks that not only in online, my relationship with the people I know on campus began and continues because of those other things that I've enjoyed doing and been involved with. Just do other things, and that's always a good way to build your reputation anyway, whether it's at work, whether it's in the community or otherwise. Just get involved with other things, and that's a way to try to, hey, I hear that person's name. That's the person who are they? Oh, that's my course. They kind of put the connection then together. Maybe that helps. All right.
I believe in tomorrow afternoon's schedule too, if your department meeting is done, I think there are a couple tours that you can do, like to visit, I don't know if there's a course improvement tour or where you can meet some of these other folks.
Perfect.
On the teams and learn how process.
Anything like that is perfect. Just do as much of those things as you can. And I'm going to hurry through a couple of these because we've got a whole nother section we're going to try to go through. I knew we'd get this point. That's all right. One of the other things that we do, if you think of it in our church or family service, is the literal service. Perhaps there's finding a ways to actually serve that person without expecting something in return. And that can be another way to perhaps build that relationship.
Jeff's awesome about saying like, oh, there's this problem with a quiz or something, and sending me an actual rewrite. Just bless his name, right? That I don't have to go back and figure it out and do it, and that's service. That blesses my life.
Okay, thank you. Communication. Obviously, relationships being built are a key part of this. We've got a few thoughts on communication that go along with this as well. Sometimes this is how we feel on the online world, with poking out of a computer with a can with two strings or string on it. And this one is the other one that was the good visual, is you can't see each other. You don't have that option to be together. So a few things that will get your input to. When you email somebody anything about this, CC that person. Don't blind copy them or anything else, just or send it to them as well. But make sure that any communication about the course goes to them. Agree, disagree?
And I would add fixes.
Okay.
So I would love, anyone who's listening, if the fix had the opportunity to CC, right? And it's gotten a little bit harder actually, because it used to be you got the email and you could forward the email. So maybe there's work on that, I don't know. But try really hard. If you submit a fix and they're fixing something and it got fixed, let each other know, because otherwise you don't know that, oh my gosh, you had to submit 50 fixes this semester? Like, I had no idea.
You can be lazy.
What's going on.
And I just do the copy the thing and pluck it in an email. It's not beautiful,
that's
but
all
it at
we
least shows up. Or a screenshot. There's a couple of ways to do that. And I'll do a better job of that because I didn't realize I should be sending those to you. So good thought.
I should be sending them to him, but we should. We need to see each other.
Right. Use every type of technology when you're communicating. You know what they are. Get comfortable with them. And again, don't underestimate low tech. There's nothing wrong with a text. A text is simple. We all know how to, everybody, I cannot think of a person alive that doesn't know how to text except for maybe my father-in-law, but he is not working anymore. But anybody that is working and employed should know how to text. So use those things. Use whatever type that might be.
I would say too, we've tried hard to make sure we use the stuff that our students are using in the course.
Right.
So if they're using Adobe Connect or Google Hangouts, we try to use it because then that also gives us some empathy.
And there's always empathy when it comes to technology. All right. I think another key is returning each other's calls. Now, to some of your comment, would be thrilled. I'd love to have a call. I'll gladly return it the same business day. But in case that's not happening, make sure if somebody calls or even emails, that those are returned promptly. It's just a good courtesy that keeps that relationship and that communication working. Any comments there from anybody? Okay. I would say another way to do this is if you can schedule a meeting. Don't do it impromptu, but schedule. If you're doing a course redevelopment, maybe it's weekly. If it's bi-weekly, monthly, whatever, quarterly, we always have at least a couple of formal times we sit down. Now this semester we didn't have a third instructor, but almost always we do. So we'll get the three of us, we don't have a big course, but we'll get the three of us together on a Google Hangout and we'll have that, but we'll schedule that, probably at least a week in advance. But I would encourage you to improve that communication with someone, try to get on their schedule and get that and just try to get it there and use, again, the technology. Try to be visual, not just do it over the phone if you can. Suggestions, things to add to that?
I know,
please.
I currently do have a weekly scheduled.
Perfect.
But we've found that sometimes he's busy, he's wearing a lot of hats, I'm wearing a lot of hats, because I also teach on another campus on site. So you got to remember to put your hat on some days.
Very good.
So I know there have been days where I've actually said, can we bump it to next week just because too much is going on, but at least I contact him either the day before or that day and just say, is this okay?
Right.
Is there anything pertinent? And we can push things as necessary because it doesn't have to be as regimented.
No.
There's flexibility on both sides.
And you obviously have a relationship that you can do that with. And you've built that, and that's one of the benefits of that. Oh, of course, no problem.
Right.
And there is no problem. It's not like there's a problem for postponing or changing or whatever. Because sooner or later, it's going to come the other way. They'll need the same request. I would also encourage all of us, some of us tend to be too direct. Some of us tend to be not nearly direct enough. Tell what it is you need. Do the who, what, where, when, why, and how thing. Just be direct. Don't get rid of the small talk and build a relationship. But when you get down to business, tell what you need and what's broken and why, and always come with a solution. Again, just like you would if you were at work, you come with what you need. And I'm thrilled to hear you say that I give you those most of the time, and hopefully I can keep doing that. But come with something and ask for what you need, and just be direct. Doesn't mean you need to be rude or abrasive or anything else. Just be direct. It helps because nobody has time for a 10-minute story to get to a 30-second point. We don't have time for that.
But then also be open, right? So if you have an idea, like you've seen the problem in the course, here's how I think we should fix it. Be open to, the course lead saying, well, I have kind of a greater vision of how this fits in with the whole department and what it is we're trying to do, and be open to them saying, that's not exactly how I want to fix it, but be ready to discuss and talk about how to implement. Sometimes they'll say, oh, good, great, thanks, let's run with it, right? But sometimes they might come back and say, no, I don't think that's the right approach. So it is a council, right?
Absolutely.
So council together.
And the concept that Elder Ballard teaches us so many times on councils works in this case. All right. I think if you're going to be on video, it's a lovely little technique. I think works really well. Show up first. It's a small thing, but it just tells that you're anxious and you want to be there and talk to them. It's a minor thing, but it does work. This is one we've already talked about, but making sure that you communicate progress on issues, either concerns or things that are getting better. Casey, anything you want to add to that? But I think that's really a key, is to communicate specifics to that course lead. Again, if you're going to meet, some kind of an agenda, even if it's 3 bullets on an email that says, hey, I need to talk about this, this, and this. Again, keep the chit chat, get to know them, but put something specific as I need to talk about these 3 things. What do you have? If you're setting that up by email and they've got 2, great, you got 5 agenda points, you want to get through that. It doesn't need to be fancy, just get it out there. And I think an agenda is helpful. Share documents, who said this? If you aren't using Google Docs or whatever, share documents. In some cases, there may be some scheduling items you can share. If you have a shared calendar, if you have a Google Calendar, other people will be on it, just share as much as you can, as appropriate. Emails give us a great opportunity to share an article, whatever the case might be. Just share documents, but Google Docs is a perfect place to use things.
There's
Other
a really
suggestions?
fun one, it's called a Wigio, and
Say it again.
Wigio,
Okay.
and it's an online to-do list that everybody can join in and put tasks on there and they can get checked off.
Perfect. I
So
didn't know that. That
multiple
sounds
people,
good.
that's sometimes what you need, is just a to-do list
Perfect.
to put it in.
Say that real loud so the camera picks it up.
I can't say it right, it's a Wigio or something like that.
Okay, close enough.
Wigio will be part of the Island Suite starting hopefully in the fall.
Beautiful. There
It's
you go.
really awesome.
Okay, I hadn't heard of that one.
WIGGIO.
Yeah.
There you go.
I can spell it, I can't say it.
All right. In communication, certainly be respectful of each other's time, family circumstances, professional demands, politics, role here at the school. Just be respectful. It goes with basic human resource communication skills. And sometimes that person needs you to give, and sometimes they can give to you, but just be respectful to their life in general when you communicate. And we talked about trust, and this is where we're going to end. Hopefully what we've done is give some ideas, tools, and techniques that can help you develop relationships like you have, like Casey and I have. There are lots of great online course representatives, OCR, course lead relationships that just work wonderful. They're great. They are there. And just because yours may be a little substandard right now, it doesn't mean it has to be that way forever. And just take the time on your part to try to make that better. And I think that trust begins to develop, and there's good things with that. What would you add?
Let me just add that I think there are 2 things that your course lead might be the most afraid to trust you about. The first one is assessment. So we know as campus instructors that there is both like an emotional and also a practical pull from student evaluations, right? We want our students to get A's, and they really want to get A's, right? And so we know that pull and that incentive to just help the average, right? And so the fear is, I've built this rigorous course. My exam average is a C, and that's because that's the level that students are attaining, right? And it's a rigorous course, it's hard. And I'm worried if your average is suddenly an A, and it's not because they're learning it that much better, right? And so that's one thing that I think your course lead might be nervous about. So if you're going to be doing anything in terms of like curbing an exam, dropping the lowest test score, any of those kinds of things, communicate very closely with them. And with your other instructors that you work with, make sure that gets communicated, because if they're worried about that, they're probably never going to trust you. They're going to feel like the students are all going to go take the online course because it's easy and it's a real problem, right? But if you communicate with them and you're on the same page about whether we drop the lowest exam score, whether we throw out questions, things like that, if you're on the same page, then you build that trust and they know that you're going to hold the course to the same standard.
What was the second one?
The second one is the one I keep forgetting. Must be really important, right?
It was probably your first answer.
2 seconds ago, I had it, but I forgot.
Well, we appreciate the opportunity to spend time with everybody today. Like I said, these relationships are important. They're built and structured the way that is inspired. It's not perfect. You know, the moving parts are tough to deal with, but they do work. They can work. We all can make that better, and hopefully the opportunity at the conference is to take a minute and improve that relationship with each of you. Okay, there you go.
That you will, instead of being an advocate of the course and understanding the course and the vision and helping students understand the vision of the course, that you will be like, yeah, this is a horrible course. And it's not my fault, right? So it's another way to have students love you, right? But that doesn't help, right? It doesn't help build the trust, and it doesn't help with the greater vision of helping students and all that. So if you have concerns about the course, you work with the lead, but don't give the message to students that like, oh, none of this is my fault, it's horrible.
It's that person.
Work with the course lead so you can understand the course and understand the vision, and then help your other instructors understand that vision. It's probably the number one thing that I hear campus course leads say they appreciate about their online lead is my online lead understands the vision of the course and helps the other instructors understand the vision of the course.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all for coming.